Angel Studios, who's doing some really cool things. I mean, it was one of the flagship projects. Torch projects is what they refer to it as, which means, there's many of these projects that get onto their website, and then they ask the fans, which one do you want to see? And this short that Brock put together, which was just a concept that he created and shot on like $500 that he put together, got a flood, like just a flooding of response of, we want to see more of that, which is interesting considering the audience of Angel Studios and the kind of the family faith space in which that it usually lies. But it just shows that there was a hunger and an appetite to stretch the genre, for it to be bigger than what is usually seen, and to kind of explore these, dystopian themes. And I think they did an incredible job doing that personally. I mean, the two leads, Neal and Chris, do an incredible job back and forth. And Elizabeth Tabish as well, just really moving performances. And I'm just so happy and proud for Brock. I mean, what he put together and it being his directorial debut is really, really fantastic.
Yeah, and I suppose, Emily, to take on the character the devil, for many people it's a sort of a plagued role. For many people it's sort of, ooh, do I want to touch that? We all see how Gabriel Byrne mastered it with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie where he played the devil. And so it's very hard to, because so many people have these expectations of what the devil might be portrayed or what the sort of character. And we've seen past people, actors, really mastered. It's a hard place to go as an actor. But Neal McDonough as his own sort of take on it, and it's differing, but it's intriguing all the same. And you almost get a sense of, dare I say, a realism. You can almost actually feel him out in this type of role. He's gone a different way about it. But it works.
Yeah, he did a really lovely job. He talked about in one of the interviews that well, when we were there in the audience screening it, he said, it was something that he resisted at first, obviously just being the devil. But he, once he looked into it more and was seeing obviously the different layers that, become enticing as we as actors look at roles, and the moments of real pain that he could put in for that. I mean, that is what, is the belief but about Lucifer, or about the devil, is that there is a great loss that has occurred, and that is why he is who he is. And so I believe that that's what Neal was trying to tap into. I thought he did a really good job at it. And sometimes we resist roles, and when we look at them in a deeper way, we realize, wait, if I am specifically the color or the paint that gets chosen to paint this part of the picture, I do have a power and a way of being a part of how that's portrayed. And I think it was very well done by Neal. I think people will not be disappointed in his performance at all. It's great.
And Emily, can you tell us a bit now about your own character, Tabitha? I know before we came on air, you said it's a sort of a minor role within the movie, but can you tell us a bit about her involvement? Is she on the side of good or evil, or is she a pawn, dare I say, trapped in this world?
Well, it's very funny because as things go, cuts of movies go through several different iterations. And so I think if you'll blink, you might miss her. I even had some friends going, "Wait, where were you in it?" Because they're expecting something else. And then in some ways I find that to be a bit of a compliment, because I strive to blend in, more than stick out so much. But I came onto this project because Ken Carpenter, who has filmed in Ireland frequently, loves Ireland. I worked with him on a project, a Lifetime movie project called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And I really just enjoyed working with him. And so very short after that, he contacted me and he said, "Hey, listen, I already cast this other part that I, thought you'd be great at, but I really also want you to be a part of anything that I'm doing. And this one just really seemed like I just want you to look at it. Like, I would like you to maybe look at these roles, but if there's anything else that you're interested in, I'd be open to it. I just want to have you be a part of the project. And I was like, wow, that's very sweet of you. So I looked at it, and honestly, the newscaster, who was Tabitha, and there was much more there at the time, but the newscaster was just interesting to me because I hadn't played something like that. And also, the world is so dystopian. It's very dark, it's very violent, and it's very jarring, and it's very depressing. And the newscasters, when Brock spoke to me, he was a big fan of the Uncharted games and series, so he just wanted to work together too. But when he spoke to me about it, he's like, I just really want the news, the propaganda, what's kind of coming through the television to be completely out of touch and otherworldly than the world we're in. So a lot of those pieces through the television you'll see will be the two reporters reporting the news, but sort of just being very glossy and very kind of removed from really what's going on. And I just kind of found that interesting. So that's really the role. It is not massive, but it's by any means, but I keep wanting to tell people about it because I'm really love what Angel Studios is doing. I love, just as an actor, showing up on something from these studios and actually going, wow, guys, like, all of this is really professional and next level, and it doesn't feel, because it isn't, like super low budget at all. Like, good job. I know what it's like to try to produce things, get things made, to want to direct things. It's not easy. And so when you see other people doing it and doing it at a level and doing it well, those are the projects, as fellow indie producers and actors, that are like Chris Palaha. Like, he is known for many Hallmark films, in the States. But to see him get to do this, when you're like, you are capable of doing that, and this is a breakout role for you in that way, to do that on a theatrical release, you want to champion those people and get the project as much exposure as you can. So I was really happy to be a part of it in a very small way. And honestly, at this point in your life, you just want to work with people that you want to work with. And I got to work with my friend Nolan North on it and bring him on just to kind of, goof around for the day. So it was a lot of fun.
And Emily, I get a sense you have a certain draw for sci-fi. Is it a genre that has been very kind to you over your sort of career?
Yeah. I mean, I think initially I probably never would have, I guess, gravitated towards that. Although, growing up, like many of our houses did, a lot of, I grew up with MASH in the background, not sci-fi, but that was one that was playing a lot. Star Trek playing a lot in the background. Sci-fi is an interesting genre because it allows us to talk about very real things in these different spaces. And so, yeah, I never ever would have known that I would have led a sci-fi show for 5 years or even considered it sci-fi, but it definitely was. And it's just one of those things that, kind of has come my way, and I keep in that universe. So, yeah.
And shooting in Alabama, did you go to a certain sort of did you shoot your scenes in Alabama as well? Did you, out of those
Yes.
5 weeks that was spent filming, did how long did you spend in Alabama? Were you there maybe for 2, 3 weeks of that sort of five? And did you go to a remote place within Alabama to set the sequences and maybe build a stage, or was it very much done in a central key part?
It was in a central area. I think one of the cool things, well, not cool, kind of odd, but that's kind of come out of the pandemic, was a lot of these abandoned, just large buildings that aren't really being used anymore. So we were for a lot of the interiors, at this old shopping mall, which is, for any young budding filmmakers, is a great place. If you can make a film that can be shot completely in a shopping mall with all these different department stores or restaurants or areas that can be used as stages. I mean, it's a great place for a studio or for a film to kind of set up shop. There's bathrooms, there's eating facilities, there's parking lot. I mean, it's for indie filmmakers, that is a great place to scout for locations. So yeah, that's where base camp was. And I love Birmingham. I have friends in Birmingham. So I actually went, I think I filmed right over my birthday, and it was really quick. Ken was really, he's a great producer, and he was very sweet to call and ask, and he knew it wasn't going to be a big thing, but he was like, I want to make it worth your time, and you'll have a lot of fun when you come out. So it was a quick in and out, but it was good.
And was there a bit of intermingling with the cast and in terms of between sort of takes or lunch breaks? Did you get to bond or get to make connections?
Well, again, the piece that I play, being the newscaster in a separate sort of complete separate world, was very out of the main kind of space of what was being filmed. I think for us, what we had fun is I got to, I don't want to say recruit, but kind of like ask my friend Nolan if he wanted to pop on with me and do this together. And we're sort of known in the video game world for having a bit of a back and forth, a repartee, a kind of banter. So to be able to do that in real life on something and banter back and forth was great. And so, I think there were some people on the crew that were familiar with our game that we're really known for. And I think they enjoyed being able to see that. But for us, we just, an actor's life is very nomadic. You make a lot of friends at every set that you go to. It's the ones that, remain deep friendships. They're very valuable. And so to be able to go and do other projects together here and there is wonderful. You don't have to build all of that common vocabulary again. It's just fun to get to say, hey, let's go be these characters today. That'll be fun. So
And Emily, I do believe you visited Emerald Isle in the past, and you've, dare I say, you've ventured on horseback, and through different parts of our wilderness, and even through some big cities here in Ireland. Can you tell us about your adventures in the Emerald Isle?
yeah, I have very fond memories of Ireland. I went to Comic Cons there, I think when my son was maybe around, I think it was maybe about 5 years ago, I believe. But we were in Belfast to start, and then the second one was in Dublin. And so I just have really great memories of Belfast in particular. The food was amazing, but we were there, and my Nolan, again, who I did this movie with, his wife and I have known each other for a very, very long time. And we were sitting across from dinner with each other. It was her birthday at the time. And she started talking to me about the projects that she wanted to get off the ground. And it was from that conversation. We always say our company started at a little pub in Belfast, Ireland. And so we have just a really soft spot for it there. It was a really creative, inspiring space for us. We were able to dream there. And then in between the Comic Cons, I actually found a little Airbnb and went and stayed there on my own. And then I just called around and asked if there was any horse stables where I could go and go riding. And this lovely horse stable, they kind of were like, well, we don't normally do that thing, but sure, come on over and I'll take you for a ride. So because I'm a horse rider, I just went over and I got to just gallop through the Irish countryside, which was incredible. I was living my best life, and came back down. And then we went and did a con at my husband joined up with us. And then we spent more time just touring all on the causeway and just did some amazing places in Ireland, and then did Dublin. And it was a great time in Ireland. I have very fond memories. One of my favorite bands, Ren Collective, is from Ireland. I love them. And so yeah, I like Ireland. I want to go back.
We'll be glad to have you, Emily, with open doors. And Emily Rose, now, if I can turn it over to you for the final 30 seconds, you might enlighten all our audience, all our listeners, why they should go out en masse, watch The Shift in the cinema with their popcorn, their Maltesers, their Pepsi, put their feet up in the recliner seat, kick back, and watch The Shift, and what's in store for them.
Well, yeah, I think you're going to really enjoy the movie, number one. But to be honest, just from an independent artist point of view, I think Ireland is great about supporting the underdogs and is supporting the working, the worker. And I just feel like Angel Studios came behind this incredible normal guy who has a family and who had been through a lot of grief and loss in his life and helped him make this movie. And if you're going to go and support a movie, go support one made by a guy who is now just living his dream doing this. This is his debut. You will not be disappointed. It has a lot to think about, a lot to discuss, and a lot to come back and watch again. And I'm really proud to be just even a small part of it. We're really proud of the shift, and what Brock has done is great. So go support, go and buy